creating a phenomenally good product isn't easy, but it also isn't complicated. The best things are usually plain and simple. No unnecessary frills needed. This is what Suzuki have excelled in doing with the Swift. This is, without a doubt, the best car that Suzuki makes, not only from a price point of view, but also the driving experience. Over the past couple of months, I've driven a lot of cars, and I can say I have never enjoyed reviewing any car more than this Suzuki Swift. This is the GL manual, the middle of the range in terms of trim level and accessories. So in this video, I will show you around the car, explore the inside, take it for a drive, and cover the cost of ownership. Welcome to Car Fever. The Suzuki Swift is a super mini B-segment car. It competes directly with the VW Polo, Ford Fiesta, Honda Jazz, now called the Honda Fit, Renault Clio, or Peugeot 208. The Swift is the cheapest to buy than any of those cars. Suzuki understood the mission when they made the Swift. It's a small hatchback, so make it light, make it simple and user-friendly. But most importantly, make it one hell of a hoot to drive. This is the third generation Swift, and it's a really good looking car. The exterior design is really appealing, and Suzuki have really improved the look, especially when compared to the second generation, which looked awkward in some angles. Well done, Suzuki. Now, this car isn't new. It was introduced in South Africa in 2018, so it's already 5 years old. It did get a facelift in 2021, which was just the grille, and it looks so much better. So if you own a pre-facelift car, you might want to just get the new grille. It really updates the look and makes it look more modern. The Swift is also 25% more expensive since the launch date. Like so many other cars, the price has gone up. So when the base GA launched in 2018, it was 147,900. Now it is 199,900. So that's a 52,000 Rand increase. But it's still way cheaper than any of its rivals. So it's still a good deal. The one we have here is the Swift GL manual. It comes in at 238,457, including VAT. And it only has one optional extra, which is the window visors at 1,161. So if you finance this car with no deposit at a prime interest rate of 11.75% for 72 months, your monthly installment is 4,631 per month. And when you add insurance at an estimate of 1,500 per month, your total cost of ownership comes up to 6,131 per month. This figure will vary per individual, as no two buyers are the same. Your credit profile will influence the interest rate you're going to receive, and the insurance premium will depend on your driving history. Now that we've covered the bases, let's move on to what this car offers. The Swift has a 1.2-liter 4-cylinder petrol engine which produces 61 kilowatts, and 113 Newton meters of torque. It is also 10% lighter than the previous generation Suzuki Swift. Claimed fuel consumption is 4.9 liter per 100 kilometer. It is really fuel efficient without being underpowered, as you'll see during the drive. The interior is really clean and minimalistic. Everything feels like it should, and everything is where you expect it to be. The GL doesn't have a touch infotainment system like the GLX, but that doesn't bother me. The analog dials are really beautiful, and I'm glad it isn't a screen. We already spend too much time staring at screens. Traditional analog stuff is just better, guys. Trust me. When all the cards are full of screens, you'll really miss the simplicity of analog dials. At the back, there's decent legroom for a normal-sized human being. If you're super tall, you will struggle at the back of any small car. The back seats do fold flat if you need more loading space. The boot is also 20% more spacious, now 246 liters, and up to 579 liters when the rear seats are folded. And underneath, there is a space-saver spare wheel as standard. I love the rear look of this car. It's simply beautiful. Let's go for a drive. I'm ready to go for a drive. In fact, I'm itching to drive this car. Let's go. I'm already so familiar with this car because I used to own the previous version, 2017 Suzuki Swift GA model. So I kind of know what this car is about, the engine, the gearbox and everything. And this is one of my favorite Suzuki cars because it does everything so well. It's so compact and it makes you feel like you're driving something really small. This one is a little bit more refined than the previous model, so I can tell you right off the bat it feels more solid than the previous car because of the new architecture of the new chassis that they built into the car. And somehow they seem to have solved the torque problem. The previous model had the torque problem where you'd put your foot down and then you have to wait for a long time for the torque to kick in. So I think this engine is configured differently because the torque comes in really, really low down. I mean, this car is a joy to drive. You can really enjoy driving this car. At 1.2 liter VVT engine, it's amazing. And because this car is so light, you can really enjoy driving it. It feels very nimble for what it is. So when you're just maneuvering around the parking lot, I mean, it's really easy. This car is the easiest car to drive. It's really small, so you're aware of your surroundings and everything. So it's not intimidating to drive. So I'd recommend this as a first car or as just an alternative car to have in your garage. And whether you're a seasoned driver or a new driver, you're definitely gonna enjoy driving the Suzuki Swift. I mean, the way the car responds to inputs, it's like no other. And because it's so light, it's so nimble when you go around corners. And that engine, it just goes. And going over bumps, This car really handles the bumps very well. It's very well damped and it's very comfortable whichever environment you go onto. And that engine, when you really get high up in the rev range, it really starts to pull. But I have to say, the most significant improvement is the gearbox. The way the gear shifter feels in this car, it's unrivaled by any other. I mean, the throws are very short, and you really know what you're doing when you're putting this car into gear. You'll never miss shift. It's always on point. I mean, it's a solid gear shift. What Suzuki have engineered here is simply amazing, especially for this price point that this car comes in. I mean, I've tried to find other alternatives, but you really can't go wrong with the Suzuki Swift. You can't do better than this car. I mean, this is the type of car where you never need a turbo. Even though the European market has a turbocharged 1 liter 3-cylinder for the Suzuki Swift, you don't really need it. This 1.2 naturally aspirated motor is enough. And if you really want to experience this car, you really need to find some back roads where there's some tight corners where you can just hone it around and you'll be able to see what the Suzuki Swift is actually about. Just the driving experience alone is worth it in this car. That engine is just a gem of this car. The way it revs, the way it sounds, the way it feels. This car is just unbeatable in the current market. Where car prices are so high, this is really a best value for your money alternative. But not just that, you'll really enjoy getting to know this car, getting to drive this car, getting to experience it every single day. This is the type of car that makes driving a joy. And it doesn't matter which version it is, whether it's the GA, GL or GLX, all these cars are just amazing. They just come with different trim levels of packages with either a touchscreen radio or some dials, but overall the core ingredient of this car is just the engine, gearbox and the chassis of this car, and whichever one you go with, you'll really enjoy it. And I could have gone on and on about this car for infinity. Truth is, I'm in love with the Suzuki Swift. It represents a pure driving experience and a simple recipe in a world full of dull, isolated cars. Like when I drove the Haval Jolion. Even though it had a turbo and a dual-clutch transmission, I couldn't feel it. It felt like the car was driving itself. So, if you're looking for a car, whether it's your first or your last, go to your nearest Suzuki dealership right now. Go drive a Suzuki Swift, and I mean really drive it. It might surprise you and you might fall for it like I did. What you do after that with your money, it's up to you and yours. I wasn't there. Thank you for watching. That subscribe button won't smash itself, so do it.
What's taking home so long, son? 50, calm down. Look! Pull up!
death upon me. Blood in my eye, dog, and I can't see. I'm tryna be what I'm destined to be, and niggas tryna take my life away. I put a hole in a nigga for fucking with me. My back on the wall, now you gon' see. Better watch how you talk when you talk about me, cause I'll come and take your life away. Many men, many